Okay, in this video, now that my flooring's done, I'm going to fancy up this door trim a little bit. It's in an awkward spot 'cause it's a little too close to the wall. This is the trim that I'm using on all of my doors. So it looks like that. All these trim parts are really expensive right now. I was quite surprised, but I only needed two pieces. I already had the top piece, so that kept the cost down. And then on the hinge side, this trim is just barely small enough that it'll fit in without cutting it. But I'm doing sort of a fancier architrave up top for all my exterior doors, and this is where it gets a little bit awkward. So here's the front door that I've already done. So it's not painted yet or anything. And obviously I want my exterior doors to all look the same, but this one is going to be too close to the wall to make it perfect on that one side. So I'm going to sort of do the best fit that I can with the wood that I already have and see how it looks. First thing I'm doing is marking the reveal line, and that's about 1/2 inch, just slightly less. And I'm doing that across the top and on the sides. On the hinge side, I really don't have too much of a choice because it sort of fits in the way it does. And then I'm going to measure from the floor to the reveal line at the top to cut my vertical pieces. Not too much to it. The one on the hinge side is about 1/16 larger so that it's even. I guess maybe the floor dips a little bit or whatever. Take them outside, use the circular saw, cut them. No mystery there in the cutting, and then I'll bring them inside and dry fit them before I do anything, and they look good. Measured once and cut once, and they worked out well. So I was concerned I'd have to rip cut the hinge side, but I don't have to, and that's good. But like I said, it does impact the top of the door frame or the architrave. So I am using no nails, and then I also use nails, which maybe it negates the use of no nails, I don't know, but whatever. That's generally how I do it. And that's just so the trim doesn't move around while the no nails is drying. So maybe 6 to 8 nails per board. I don't use very many nails, but I use a couple. And then just making sure that the trim follows the reveal line all the way down. And then for the hinge side, same thing. The hinge side's close enough to the wall that you actually have to bring it in on an angle. You can't just go straight in, or the hinges will prevent the trim from going in. So you do have to come in at about a 45-degree angle, get around the hinges, and then it'll drop in place. And same thing as the other side, no nails, and then just a couple nails so that it doesn't move around or drop or whatever. Obviously wearing safety glasses when I'm shooting nails. On the left side of the wall, I just sort of cut it flat and butted it straight into the wall because I don't have the extra 1.5 inches or so to do the fancy edging. And then for this, I just measured out about 3/4 inch beyond the trim so that the top sticks out a little bit further. And then I cut that at 45 degrees. Add the no nails and then drop it in place. So you can see on the right hand side, it's correct. On the left hand side, obviously it's not going to extend out like that, which is unfortunate. It's definitely not the way that I want to go, but quite frankly, there's so many doors in this house that are going to be like that because they're just so close to a wall, or they're just two doors are very close to each other and the trim is going to intersect. So I'm going to have a heck of a time doing trimming in this house. It's going to be quite annoying. So I've already cut the 45 off the return because that's the more difficult cut. And then I'm just going to cut it vertical. So I'm going to come right along that line and cut it maybe a 1/16 inch too large, and then bring it down with sandpaper. And then obviously I'm using that extra piece of wood so I don't cut the tips of my fingers off because it's a pretty small little cut. And I had to cut it right the first time. And there you go. So 45, and it's going sort of the opposite direction. I'm going to have to sand it a little bit more on the back side so it fits in a little tighter, but that's pretty tight. I don't use any nails for that. I just use a little bit of no nails and then glued that little end piece in place. And then for all the edges, I'm using this crown molding product from DAP. I'm not a ninja with the caulking, but I will make it smooth and fill in all the holes, cracks, and cover up all the nail holes. And make sure everything's nice and smooth before painting it. I don't paint trim without the tape down. I always make a big mess. I do the walls and ceiling with no tape, but never the trim. And I'm using this Sherwin-Williams Emerald paint, and it's just a slight off-white, so a little bit creamier than a normal white. Not filming me brushing this on for an hour, but that's what it looks like after 2 coats. I'm going to do 1 more coat, and then the picture on the right is what the door used to look like previously. So I don't hate it. I'm not overly happy that it was a little closer to the wall than it should have been, but again, I wanted all the exterior doors to look the same. Perhaps I should have used the same casing on the top that I used on the side, and then it could have all been equal, but I didn't do that. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.